So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to do for the short space of time that we have as a collective, that our intentions are simple here tonight, that perhaps when you end this or when you leave this call, that there's a feeling more of peace within you, that you feel that Christmas, whatever Christmas is to you, that godliness, or not even the word God, but that if it's love to you, peace within yourself, that everything's perfect. It is as it all should be. And hopefully with all the aid of these beautiful speakers and singers here tonight, we'll bring that message to you in abundance. So I am going to start off here tonight, and I'm going to introduce Justin Mc Gurk, because Justin's going to start us off with a bit of song.
Because I'm a child of the 70s, this reminds me of Starsky and Hutch, this cardigan, so it does. So do any of you remember Starsky and Hutch? I'm going to say, I think it's only appropriate that I sing a Christmas song. And this is a Christmas song. It's called Christmas Party. And it's a song that I wrote a few years back. It's Christmas time again, so let's spread that festive cheer. The elves are packing up their toys, and Santa's on his reindeer. Rudolph's nose is shining bright to light their merry way. He'll be climbing down your chimney just in time for Christmas Day. So let's all get together for the party of the year. Raise a glass for old lang syne, friends no longer here. We'll celebrate the birth of Christ on the best day of the year. Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a happy new year.
Declan, I'm going to hand it over to yourself to enlighten us, to bring the joys of Christmas to us all, and to celebrate life. Any message that you'd like to give? The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, Evelyn, you mentioned there beforehand that, like, we want to celebrate life and celebrate God or love, or whatever you want to call it. And reminded me of last week, we had that interview with Miriam O'Callaghan with Father Brian Darcy. And one of the discussions that went on, we recorded it a few weeks ago because Brian has his program in the north, but it was a longer, but one of the things came up was just, do you believe in God? And Brian was saying, do you believe in God is the wrong question, because he said, the word water won't make you wet. You can call water aqua, tubig, ishke, shwe, whatever the word is, only an experience of water will make you wet. And then the next step he said is, like, if the only definition he said we have of God in the Bible is God is love. So that takes the next level is, do you believe in love? But do you believe in love is the wrong question again, because the word water won't make us wet. He said, have you had an experience of love? And if you've had an experience of love, that's it. That's God. And he said, you are God, God is inside you. And this Christmas, it's about, that have you had that experience of love? And that's what will make every night a holy night.
Ex-Cavan man, ex-county Cavan footballer. He was a Colombian missionary, priest, Father Declan once upon a time, but he fell in love. And he vowed never to be like Father Ralph de Brickasoff from the Thornbirds. And I love those stories. So that's Declan. So if you haven't, his book is called The Green Platform and Living the Green Platform. We have Jeffrey Olsen here from Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. And Jeffrey has written a book. It's called Knowing. And Jeffrey's story is just amazing. It's fascinating. I know a lot of the ladies that are on the group here and a lot of the people here have read your book, Jeffrey. But if you would like to know more about Jeff, is take a wee look on YouTube. Put a near-death experience. It's Jeffrey C. Olsen, I believe it's under, because that's the video that I connected with Jeff. His story is, there's no words to describe it, but I just know that night watched the video, I thought, I need to find this man and connect with this man. So I'm handing over to this man now to again enlighten, inspire, and deliver whatever it is that you feel you have to Jeff.
Oh, wow. Well, I love chatting, and I do have some things on my mind. And Declan, you kind of opened up the space. Those of you who have read my book, thank you, knowing you know the story. And I too was a Division I footballer here in America. I was an American footballer. So Declan, we have something in common. However, the near-death experience I had, the accident that I had, it basically crippled me. I was in a wheelchair for a long time. My left leg was amputated above the knee. My right leg still has pins and a plate. And Declan, what warms my heart, I'm now out of the wheelchair. I learned to walk again. I was fitted with the prosthetic limb. I started with the walker and then went to crutches and then went to a cane, and now I can move about. But every step is a miracle. Every step is a blessing. And for these young people, to get on the treadmill, to get those muscles moving, we have no idea the miracle machine our bodies are, and the blessing it is to be in this realm and move about and walk upon the earth. Well, this is, and again, this is written from Spencer's perspective. And the book is titled, Where Are You? And it's, of course, by the two of us. We collaborated on it. But I love this, and Declan, you might appreciate this too. He dedicated it to the young people, dedicated to the children who have lost loved ones and deserve answers. And it goes like this. Where are you? You left so quickly that I wondered where you went. Are you in the stars? Are you in the flowers and the grass? Are you in the trees? Are you in the scarf that still smells like your hair? Sometimes I wonder if you were ever real. I had a dream of you, but when I woke up, you were still gone. I looked for you on Sunday, but Monday came. Are you in the garden? Are you in the mountains? Are you in the clouds? I remember the banana bread you made and the music you played. Maybe that's where you are, in the music, in those little spaces between the notes. I do my best to remember, but then sometimes I wish I could forget. I think I can picture your face, but it feels like it's slipping away. It feels unreal to me, the way life was before you left, and yet it's even more unreal how it is now without you. I've looked for you everywhere, yet you still feel so gone, and nothing I can do will ever bring you back. Sometimes, though, when I am calm and I think of you, I can almost feel you, like you're right beside me. Maybe that's where you are, right beside me. Or maybe even closer, perhaps you're alive within me. Are you alive within me? If so, then you're right here in what I see, in what I touch, in what I hear, and even in what I taste. You're the whisper, not the one I hear in my ears, but the one I hear in my heart. The whisper I feel beyond hearing. That whisper takes me to a place deep within myself, a place where we can meet like a dream. Wow, that's where you are. You're within me. You live in my heart. You are alive in my memory. So you live in everything around me. Yes, now I see you. There you are. You are in the stars, the trees, the flowers, the grass, the scarf, the garden, the sky, the mountains, the music. You are alive within me. And because of that, we are both alive within everything. Now I see you everywhere. Thanks for inspiring me to look. Watch over me, okay? The end, but if you look at the little wee letters, there is no end. And just the reminder that you have angels. You have angels. So
oh, that was beautiful. Again, it's always that feeling. You're always, as Pete Lonton, whenever he spoke the other night on the Purple Roses, we spoke about it's the feeling. Your book's called Knowing, but then there's that, it's the feeling.
That was absolutely beautiful, Jeff. Thank you so much. It meant a lot to me, particularly at the moment. But I'm going to sing a song. And I suppose the reason I picked this was because I was thinking as Declan was talking about the children learning to walk, I was just thinking of rising up and achieving their dreams. Move mountains, we're gonna walk it out. And move mountains. And I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Now, I'm popping over to a lady. She's probably sweating buckets here, and her knees is probably like rubber at this stage.
Well, thank you very, very much, Evelyn. I've never really liked myself very much. And I suppose in my youth, there would have been a lot of, and 20s and 30s, kind of destructive behavior. The backdrop is love. And I try my best to come from a place of love and to be kind. When Evelyn asked me to speak when we were up in Oma, I actually was really nervous and my mouth was dry, but I stood up and took the microphone, and Evelyn noticed that I stood up and I didn't notice that. So that was a great growth for me. But anyway, at dinner, a couple of people were commenting on what I spoke about in that, and someone asked me, what is your passion? And I was like in my head going, Jesus, I don't really know what my passion is, but I actually think I do know. And I think it is very simply to be kind to people, to know that we're all on a journey, and to help people through that journey in whatever way you can, and to have a bit of crack and a bit of a laugh. And that is what I'm passionate about. And that's what I want to do as a coach and a speaker. I want to help people. I want to inspire them through my own stories and my own challenges, but to always have a bit of light, not light at the end of the tunnel, but lightness around it, that it's not heavy, heavy stuff.
I'm so excited to be with you, Evelyn.
This is Dr. Jeff O'Driscoll. He has a bromance with Jeffrey Olsen this many, many years, but as Jeffrey Olsen had said how that came about was through the accident that he was airflew to his hospital. And as Dr. Jeff would say, he was, as Jeffrey Olsen was saying, the most profound goodbye to his wife. Dr. Jeff was saying hello.
Oh, thank you, Evelyn. It's so wonderful to be with you again. I was listening to Declan earlier, and he asked that question. He reiterated somebody else's question: do you believe in God? And the response that kept echoing through my mind as I heard that question is: do you believe in yourself? And so I love that you have that in the image right behind you, Evelyn. Believe in yourself. It's such a powerful and such a necessary thing. You know, I love this time of year. We recently celebrated Diwali, which is a festival of lights honored by the Hindus and the Jains, the Sikhs, and some Buddhists. That's a big chunk of the Eastern world. And right after that, we celebrated Hanukkah. I have Jewish ancestry. Hanukkah celebrates light as well. It's the miracle of the oil in the ancient temple and how the light was preserved and prolonged. Soon we'll celebrate the birth of Christ, which much of the Western world refers to as the light of the world. And shortly after that, we'll honor Kwanzaa by lighting 7 candles, honoring the foundational principles of Kwanzaa. And it's like the whole universe gathers with us and honors us and celebrates with us at the winter solstice, marking the beginning of greater light coming into our lives and into the world for the next 6 months. I just love how this all comes together, how important the light is. It gives us hope and direction in what we do. We get so much notion of separation in the world, but we're not separate, we're one. I think one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves, and I so appreciated your comment, Una, about loving ourselves, because it's so much about honoring who we are. And one of the ways I try to help people honor who they are is I share what might be called a parable or a metaphor of an apple. Imagine, if you will, you have a perfect apple. It's the right shape, it's the right size, it's the right color, it's nice and crisp when you bite into it, and it has a beautiful taste. It's perfect. We can all get our head around the notion of a perfect apple. There's no moral obstacle to thinking the apple's perfect, okay? And then we take that apple and we peel it, we cut it up, we put it in a pie, and we bake it in the oven. And when it comes out of the oven, we have a perfect apple pie. But the apple's a different color. It's a different texture. It has a different taste. Everything about it is different, and yet it's perfect. And the reason is because these are not steps in becoming perfect. These are states of being perfect. Think of it this way. When the apple was nothing more than a blossom, it was perfect to those who took in its beauty and inhaled its aroma, and to the bee who pollinated it. When it's green and hard and sour, it's perfect for the worms and the birds. When it's soft and falling off the tree, it's perfect for the horse that can't reach it when it's hanging on the branch. And when it's rotting in the ground, it's perfect to give life to a new tree. From the right perspective, it's always perfect. That's how we need to view ourselves.
So this is a very new song that I have had very little opportunity to sing. I think this song just fits in nicely, so I'm going to sing it for you now. And it's called Come Back to Love. There's a place we're all dreaming of, an emotional state, destination love. It comes from deep inside, and it's always up above. It's the place where we all came from, back when we started off. If you've forgotten where it is, please come back to love. Love, love, please come back to love.
Pete Lonton. Well, Pete was on speaking for Our Ladies. They have all been in love with you, Pete. You know this?
Thank you.
Yes, we had him on in our group speaking, and a few of the ladies had commented it was almost as if he could see your soul. connect with your show. And I feel very blessed that I always can share platforms, or have platforms where people feel safe in their sharing. Because
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, listen, I'm honored to be in such esteemed company. I really am. I don't think any of us truly realize the ripples that we create in our lives. And what we create or what we do, and some of the things we will see, the results of what happens, and certain things we won't. And it doesn't really matter, right? It's not about seeing what happens. It's just about being the best version of what you can be. And so many of us, myself included, up to about 5 years ago, was not being the best version that I could be. And that's when, through basically a number of events in my life, I came up with the question that I ask a number of people now, and saying, what is fire in the belly? And it's a curious thing, and I find it so beautiful because it's irrelevant of religion, race, creed, shape, size, belief, whatever, right? We can all have fire in the belly. And I believe as long as you have a beat in your heart and you have a breath in your lungs, I believe you have a fire in the belly. Now, the question is that fire in the belly, is that a roaring flame, or is that a distant, far off little flicker of light? So that's the question I ask a lot of people. Why is it that some of us get up and take over the world, and some of us just get up and turn over the TV channel? What is it that motivates some and not others? It's through that question, and the question that I was posing myself at that time, that I set off on this path to start asking people. I didn't seek the microphone. I didn't seek to sort of get to meet all these people. But yet when you ask certain questions and you take the time to listen, amazing things start to happen. Now, the most beautiful thing is we're all different. And I actually believe, thank God, we're all different, because if we're all the same, I think the world would be a very weird place. But we are all different, and passion comes out in different forms. We've heard so many stories tonight and so many beautiful things, and people can celebrate either the smallest or the biggest things, right? It doesn't matter. We are all capable of something amazing. And I do believe if we did nothing more than find the passion in our lives, the world would be an amazing place. Now, one thing I have found, and even for myself, it's not so much about what we do. Sometimes it's about doing less. Sometimes it's learning to be a quitter. And I know that sounds bizarre, but in this world where we're so connected, we're so out there, we're so multitasking, we're doing so many things. Well, what if we stopped and quit doing the things that pleased other people? What if we quit doing all the things that other people expected of us, all the roles we play? There's the role of daughter or brother or mother or father or son, next door neighbor, colleague. We're all these things. But you know what? Do you actually know who you are? And it's an amazing question to ask, and especially at this time of year, because it is a very emotional time of year for a lot of people. And I would encourage a lot of people to say, just to take the time to actually think, who are you? And that in itself is an incredibly big, deep conversation. Do you like yourself? And do you love yourself? And that has become a bit of a decision question for a lot of people. And quite often, approximately 1/3 of our interviews don't go live. Because first of all, our priority is always to the guest. So it's always about having a beautiful conversation. The second priority then, if the interview is capable and willing to be aired, then it will be aired on the podcast show. But quite often what we find is those that don't air, the people that cannot answer the question, do you like yourself and do you love yourself?
Noreen Kane, and she is going to read a bit of her upcoming book, which is going to be published in 2022. And her book will be called Beyond the Pain, P-A-N-E, Reflections by Noreen Kane.
I'd like to dedicate this particularly to my husband and my daughters, because it's a story about a Christmas of past, and totally blessed that we will be all spending Christmas together. So anyway, there are very few times in our lives when we experience what it is to be really quiet and at peace. We live in a world of noise and bustle. It is constant. We even have white noise as well as the internal noises in our heads. Our to-do lists constantly going around in our minds, and I know my lists were always endless. The time leading up to Christmas was an exceptionally busy time of year. There was so much preparation, what with baking, buying presents, and grocery shopping. Turkeys and hams were ordered, Christmas outfits were bought, and plans to bring the children to visit Santa Claus were made. Christmas movies graced every television channel, and Christmas music played on every radio station. There was an extra step in people as they rushed around doing the last-minute Christmas shopping. This was the time of good cheer, but it was also a time we put ourselves under stress to ensure we had the perfect Christmas. We would have carried out some research beforehand to find a nice place that we could bring the children to see Santa Claus. And when that day finally arrived, the atmosphere in our house was exhilarating. Quite often, it would entail a long car journey to arrive at our chosen destination. So we would head off early in the morning for our exciting day out. The children, dressed in their Christmas best outfits, were unable to sit still in the back seat of the car with excitement as we headed off to meet the big man himself. We would arrive at our destination and the magic would begin. Pathways were lit with twinkling Christmas lights. There were small petting zoo areas where animals were nestled in bales of hay, watching the children passing, who in turn were watching them. We weaved our way through the long corridors with piped, jolly Christmas music playing overhead. The children in awe of the magic world they were entering, and their eyes lit up as they saw mechanical polar bears moving back and forth, mechanical elves working away in the elf shop, and the magic sleigh itself getting its yearly clean to be ready in time for Christmas Eve. The excitement would reach a new level when greeted by Mrs. Claus in her kitchen baking cookies. And then the pinnacle moment arrived as we reached the door of the person who was going to bring all their wishes come true, Santa Claus himself. As soon as Santa Claus asked them a question, their little minds went blank. I would always be on hand to prompt them as to what it had been in their letters, as I knew if they had returned to the car that evening, without giving him their wishes, panic would have set in their little minds. There was no going through official channels here. This was their one-to-one chance to speak directly with the main man himself. Usually a 6-foot-tall elf in his late teens would hand them their presents from Santa, and the 352-day build-up to this moment was over in the blink of an eye for another year. They would leave totally satisfied. Their mission had been accomplished. I, myself, would give out a long, slow sigh, thanking God it went smoothly and it had been a successful trip. Tired after our long day, we were ready to go home. For me, the moment of peace and quiet was on our journey home. The children were tucked up in the back seat, blankets wrapped over their laps, and although fast asleep, their little hands still firmly clutched that gift they received from Santa Claus. As we drove, a quiet hush would descend. My husband and I didn't need to speak. Our love for each other and our love for our children was all the noise we needed to hear. The night sky, crisp and clear, was a sea of billions of stars. We would meet very few cars on the country roads, and as we drove along, we listened to the Christmas CD of Frank Sinatra singing Silent Night. It was a song I had known since infancy. I remember when, as a little girl singing it, I used to think it strange how it was a song about night and yet the lyrics were all is bright. Surely it should have been all is dark. It was in moments like these I understood the words. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. The engine of the car fell silent. I would no longer feel the rumbling of the car wheels on the road surface. It was as if the car had been lifted off the ground and we were just gliding into the panoramic view of stars. There were no external or internal noises. In that moment, everything was silent and holy. I was blessed. I had everything and more in those moments. The gratitude I could feel never could be expressed in words. It was so overwhelming that quite often an involuntary tear ran down my cheek. I knew that right there and then my world was perfect. All is calm, all is bright. The calmness was like no other. Even if I tried to think of my to-do lists or my plans for tomorrow, I just couldn't. I couldn't even remember yesterday. I was completely in the moment. Although it was dark in the car and the only light outside as we meandered through country lanes were the lights of the car itself and from the stars, there was a light that shone so bright it radiated from each of us. It was a light of love and innocence. Our world was right there, right in those moments, surrounded in a warm, bright light of love, so connected to each other and to the universe, overflowing in gratitude. As if time itself had just stood still and we could just be present in that one single moment. There were no worries, no hustle and bustle, no plans, no noise. We were experiencing what it was to be in love with the moment. My wish for you all is that you all may have a silent night, a holy night, where all is calm and all is bright.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Saviour's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine, oh, night, oh, night divine.
What a perfect way to end the night. I just feel really full now, and I just want to say thank you to every single person. And if you don't come off this feeling Christmassy, well, I don't know, you may go and fill your stocking somewhere else. Thank you so much to everyone that gave their time. Now, thank you everyone that was here, because everyone gave their time here this evening. Yeah, there's nothing more left that I have to say than that. Then just thank you. And the gratitude that I feel, and I love organising. Yes, Declan, I seen the hand raising there. I didn't know whether you were bidding on something there or just unmute yourself.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank everybody who has donated, and just to finish off by saying that the light and the stars and the Christmas stories that Jeffrey and Dr. Jeffrey and everyone else spoke about tonight, it reminded me of somebody asked me about the stable in Bethlehem. And if we go literal, we don't get it. Was it a stable? Was it a cave? Was it a kindergarten for the Essenes? We don't get it. We only get it if we go symbolic. And symbolic is that the message of the stable is that great power and great light and great love comes in very humble packages.